did not.
Okay, I just heard a recording. We're good to go with part two of the GDFL podcast.
Lions.
Let's go Lions. We'll drink to that. As a reminder, crack open a cold one, light something up, whatever you gotta do to get through this podcast. Because we just spent 35 minutes talking and we still have seven more teams to get through. So there
Chew them up.
might be a part three in the works at whatever pace we're going right now. Okay. So, next in our rankings, we have Trevor at seven. So, Trevor at year one went 11 and three and was the one seed. That was actually the most points scored in a single season in league history was Trevor in year one. And then things fell off in year two, went going 5 and 9. And then last year was his tank year. He ended up getting 4 wins. He told me going into the year his goal was just to win one. Trevor had a pretty successful tank year last year. Netted him the 101 where he got Ashton Genty. He also was able to get Golden and Jackson Dart in the draft as well. The really major offseason trade he made, because he didn't have a QB2, was he traded away Pacheco for Stafford. And yeah, he made a bunch of picks and also traded Levi a bunch of picks this year. So yeah, what are you guys thinking of Trevor's offseason?
I really like what Trevor's done with his team. I like to poke fun at him at the potential of Stafford retiring, but Stafford's not going to retire. And I think adding Jackson Dart really rounds out that quarterback room. I like that he has two very solid pillars with Neighbors at receiver, Genty at running back. And in terms of tight end, I think what's the Bills guy's name?
Kincaid.
Uh, Kincaid's fine. Kincaid's totally fine. And then in terms of filler around them, Bucky Irving is no slouch. Um, Golden was a pretty big pickup in the draft. And, I feel like my son, Chuba Hubbard, gets a pretty mixed response, but he's actually really good. And Trevor has valued him adequately in terms of trades every time we've talked. And just, he's absolutely gotten the most out of that player. With an addition of J.K. Dobbins, I do think Trevor could make playoffs. And if he doesn't this year, I really wouldn't change much at this point. He has a pretty solidified roster.
Yeah, I like the core for Trevor. You always have a chance with Josh Allen as your quarterback, but Genty, there's a lot to like with him. Neighbors is one of the best receivers in the NFL already, and he's 22 or 23 years old or something like that. Um, the depth around is there. Bucky's a good running back, and Chuba Hubbard is one of those guys that you're never going to trade for because you're going to undervalue him. But someone like Chuba Hubbard on your team, you love having that guy in your starting lineup every week. And so, if I'm Trevor, I'm staying the course, like you said. There's some young, really good pieces here. Um, I think the addition of Jackson Dart helps the long-term future if you're concerned about Stafford. So yeah, I like where Trevor sits. There's a lot to like here.
Yeah, so just to go over his roster real quick, his starting lineup of projection has Josh Allen and Matt Stafford at quarterback. At running back has Ashton Genty, Bucky Irving, Chuba Hubbard, and J.K. Dobbins. Wide receiver has Malik Neighbors, Xavier Worthy, and Ricky Pearsall. And at tight end is Dalton Kincaid. But yeah, just like I think Stafford's a great band-aid to have to like bridge to ideally Dart being good for Trevor. Having that Dart neighbor stack, if Dart ends up being good, as neighbor continues to be as great as he is, that could end up being a lot of points some weeks in the future. Yeah, I was the highest for Trevor amongst the three of us. I had him at fifth in my rankings. I think both of you had him at seven and eight. I really like Trevor's team. I mean, Josh Allen's been, I think, the top fantasy asset. He's been QB1 or QB2 each of the last like 5 years now. It's really hard to bet against Josh Allen putting up another monster performance. I don't think Genty is like the generational prospect like Bijan or Saquon were, but Genty's still a damn good running back. Uh, I think, yeah, like you said, you guys both like Bucky. I like Bucky. Chuba's a great RB3. J.K. Dobbins is a good RB4. And then at receiver is where things get, that's again, a lot of it's just like projecting some upside here, where Neighbors is very clearly the Giants wide receiver one. Worthy has a good shot these first 6 weeks of the season to really light it up beginning of the season, build that chemistry with Mahomes. I mean, you could see it down the stretch at the end of last year. Yeah, Worthy's again, I think might end up being a little just because of his speed, could end up having some more of those boom bust weeks. But when those boom weeks hit, it'll be pretty good. And then Ricky Pearsall, he could be the 49ers number one receiver this year. Like, I mean, they've had a glut of injuries with Jawan Jennings and basically any other like ancillary receiver that they have. So like there's a real opportunity for Ricky Pearsall to break out this year. And then Golden also has a shot at being the Packers wide receiver one. I mean, that's also just like looking at things with some rose-tinted glasses. Like things could go south for him too if like Worthy, Pearsall, and Golden aren't as good as people may expect them to be.
Another team with a lot of variance. If it goes right, he could be a top four finisher. If it goes south, though, Trevor could find himself on the bottom four.
Hmm.
And with that roster, that might be okay going into next season.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, like they
Trevor's
went.
done a very good job of putting himself in a good position, win or lose.
Yeah, Trevor, I'm pretty sure. So Logan's the only team that has additional first round picks, but I'm pretty sure Trevor has the most total cumulative future picks of anyone in the league. And like really looking at this roster, it's like Chuba Hubbard and like Stafford are really, and I guess Dobbins are like the only like players out. I guess Josh Allen's a little older now too, but just like he's not relying that much on like vets to get him through the season. Like most of his like roster is talented young players. And
Yep.
so even if it doesn't work out this year, like he still has a great foundation and core for the future. It's just like, yeah, with the way Josh Allen scores at the quarterback position, with like what I think Genty, Bucky, and Malik Neighbors are, like I really think Trevor could have a really good season. It wouldn't shock me if he even finished top four in the league. But you, like you said, a lot of variance here. Could easily finish bottom four as well. All right. Any final thoughts on Trevor?
Good job this offseason, Trevor.
All right, so we have a tie for fifth. So in fifth, we have Chaz. Chaz has had a winning record every year. I mean, his preseason rank has been 5, 6, and 7. It's been kind of middle of the pack. This year's no different. He's gone 8-6, 10-4 in his championship season, and then 8-6 again last year. Chaz didn't really rock the boat at all with any major trades. He made I think one with Mark during the draft either last night or today. Biggest thing he did, he got Jalen Milrow. No, that's a typo. Picked up Jalen Milrow. He picked up Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, then Isaac Tesla. So, fun fact about JCM, when his nickname Bill, he nicknamed himself after Bill Cosby, which I think's kind of funny. Um, Kind of surprised he's still going with that in year 2025, but hey, good for Bill. Got his
Hey,
line, Isaac Tesla. He looked really good in the preseason. Looked good enough that Brad Holmes decided he could trade away Chin Patrick. So, love Tesla. Not sure how much fantasy points he's being able to score this year, just with how crowded the Lions skill position room is. And I was like, Bill was another player I was curious to really see where he was going to go in the draft, just because like I'm in another dynasty league. He was undrafted in my other dynasty league when we drafted like a week after the NFL draft in May. And then he got steamed up all the way to I think it was like 207, 208 ranges where Chaz just took him. And so, very interesting to see how that's going to work out for him.
yeah, didn't rock the boat here. There's good depth. I liked the addition of Bill. I'm a believer. Tesla, there's all sorts of hype around him. Um, Good depth. Couple rocks at the top with the Baker, McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker, and CeeDee Lamb. Um, this roster feels like it's 2 years behind Logan's build, though, if there's not major changes and kind of some proactive movement. So we'll see if Chaz has it in him to make some moves. I think that this is certainly a roster that could go compete for a chip this year. It's also a roster that could decline very quickly. So we'll kind of see how it goes.
I really like the quarterback room. I think a lot of his success this year will come down to CMC and K9's health. CD's good, but CD cannot carry a team on his own. Not too big on Jaden Reed after this past offseason and what we've seen since he entered the NFL. And things do not seem good for Tyreek Hill. Trey McBride is one tight, as per someone who doesn't care about tight end very much in this league. Trey McBride is a very good tight end that I value very highly. Chaz could be 12, Chaz could be 1 by the time the season's done. A lot depends on the health of his running back room, and that's my big takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it to a T with me too. Like collectively, I do like a lot of these players. There's a lot of injury concern with this roster right now. Like is CMC the same guy? This K9 healthy? Like I know he's missed some time on and off throughout camp. Yeah, vibes have been really bad of Tyreek Hill in Miami lately. Jaden Reed vibes have been kind of bad. We don't know when Godwin's coming back. Like again, if everything hits and hits for Chaz, like this team's gonna be really good. There's just, at least for me, a lot of question marks around a lot of the players on on his roster. Yeah, and just for the people who are listening and not watching on YouTube, his quarterback room, his starting quarterbacks are Baker and Geno Smith. At running back, he has CMC, Kenneth Walker, and Jalen Warren. Wide receiver is CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jaden Reed, and Michael Pittman. And then at tight end, he has Trey McBride.
That quarterback room behind Baker, though, is really a crapshoot. It could be Geno, it could be Sam Darnold, and it could be Russ, just depending on the defenses this week.
Hmm. Oh,
I
absolutely.
loved him adding Jalen Milrow. That was a very good move this offseason.
Hmm. Yeah, especially with him having Darnold too. Yeah, I mean, if Darnold's is any good as he was last year, Darnold was like QB 8 or something in points per game last year. I know like his redraft ranking is quite a bit lower than that. I'm currently projecting him starting Geno over Darnold most weeks, but like you said, Ryan, like I think a lot of it after Baker is just going to be matchup dependent for who he ends up rocking most weeks. All right, any final thoughts on Chaz's roster? Okay,
This was a fun
Reliable,
one.
boring.
Chaz's roster will be a fun one to watch over the next year or two to see if he rides it till it dies or if he's willing to make a move to get rid of some of that risk.
hmm. So the last team that we kind of had in the mid tier is Shrew. Shrew is the only team in the GDFL to have never made the playoffs. He's gone 6-8, 7-7, and 6-8 each of these 3 years. He's been picking at 5 or 6 pretty much every year. He's been just kind of stuck in the middle. Last year, I had high hopes for him. I thought he was going to finish third in the league, but his lineup and efficiency was pretty poor. So then he didn't end up making the playoffs. He made a pretty big trade. He traded away Stafford for Pacheco. He traded away the like comfort of having that QB3, just like as having a like reliable backup for Pacheco. I mean, the news around Stafford was all pretty bad at the time, though, when he made the trade that he wasn't practicing at all, and like McVay was pretty being kind of weird with the updates where he was giving very non-committal answers. In the draft, got Travis Hunter, Trey Harris, Ollie Gordon, KLS, and Jarquez Hunter. Uh, Travis Hunter's an interesting one. Like he wasn't a second overall pick in the real draft. If he plays 90% of the wide receiver snaps for the Jags, he might have gone a steal there. It's just really hard to to project what Travis Hunter is going to do when we. I think he's mostly going to play offense year one. Wonder what it's going to look like in the future for him.
I
It
think
cracks me up that you go.
okay. Uh, I think the blueprint has been right for Shrew. Picking up Pacheco is a good solid depth piece. You know, might as well sell Stafford before he retires. I like Travis Hunter, the receiver. If he only played receiver, that would be a strong consideration for me with my first two picks. But the long term aspects of how much defense does he play and what toll does that put on his body were ultimately the reason that I passed. I really like Trey Harris, the receiver. I think that they recognize a need long term in their receiver room. I liked Trey Harris. He's got good second round capital on him. Um, so we'll see. We'll see with Shrew.
It's very hard to bet against his current roster. I think the stability at quarterback is. I don't even like Caleb. I don't think he's that good, but he definitely is valuable. Having those as your quarterbacks is pretty good. I thought he had a wonderful trade with Trevor when he got Pacheco for Stafford. The running back room right now, there's no one knocking my socks off just looking at it, but it's very deep with players at the same value from top to bottom. Wide receiver room is unequivocally great. True, you did a great job with wide receiver, and obviously Brock Bowers is the best tight end in football. So this might be the year he makes playoffs. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, like I think I was a little bit lower on. Actually, I don't really remember. I'll have to look at the end. Like Aaron Rodgers was better than all of Shrew's quarterbacks last year. Like that was something I posted in the group me. I know Aaron Rodgers averaged was like 15 or 15.1 points per game. I think Stroud only averaged like 13 points a game last year, and Caleb was at 14 and a half. Stafford was also at about 13. Like his quarterback room is, I think, better in name value than it has been for scoring fantasy points. Um, I think some of like they have untapped potential, and like there's certainly been flashes with both of them. It's just whether or not they reach that potential is kind of whether or not I think Shrew's team makes it to that next level or not, making the playoffs. Quick overview of his team. Quarterback, he has Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud. At running back, there's Tony Pollard, Isaiah Pacheco, and Tyrone Tracy. At wide receiver, he has Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, and Travis Hunter. Then at tight end, he has Brock Bowers. Every time I look at this tight end room, I just like really can't help to think like I don't know why Shrew hasn't traded one of these guys away yet. Um, Feels like there's plenty of teams in the league where Njoku or Kraft would likely be their starting tight end. He keeps holding on to him. I think he could use it to upgrade his running back room potentially. There's, I think, a trade to be made with some of those tight ends. I mean, I like Juwan Jennings as a bench player. B-Rob took a major hit when he was traded to the 49ers in terms of his depth. So like, I don't think his depth doesn't look quite as good on paper as it did last year. But like, I mean, yeah, like Levi said, this receiver and tight end room it rocks. Like it is sick. Running
You know,
back room just
It's
isn't
a
that
great
good.
blueprint. It's a great blueprint.
my argument on that wide receiver room, though, is how much has Garrett Wilson really produced? Travis Hunter, we've kind of touched on some of the long-term concerns of how much is he playing. AJ Brown has been great when he's hot and really cold when he's cold. Puka Nacua, great when he's hot, and the question with him is he on the field? So I think this is another team with quite a bit of variance. That running back room is truthfully one of the worst in the league. Just not really anything inspiring there. So I think I had Shrew at 7, and most of that was riding a wide receiver room with some concerns. To be honest, I think I'm lower on this wide receiver room than the rest of the podcast here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty high on both Puka and AJ Brown. I think they're both very good. If Garrett Wilson's your three, like I'm with you. Like I think a lot of it's more name cachet than actual production. He was still fine last year, though. I want to say he averaged like 12 and a half fantasy points. If that's your wide receiver three, I think that's pretty solid. Travis Hunter, kind of up in the air. He went two in my other dynasty league. Like he went really early. And so, like again, he potentially could have gotten a steal. We just really don't know. It's like hard to say what he's going to look like at the NFL level. I always thought he was going to be a cornerback when he was going into the draft. Like that was going to be his primary position, and then they're going to mix him in to like more gadgety type plays. But they seem to be committed to him playing receiver, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, like if I really just look at Njoku and Kraft on the bench there, and it's like you could definitely trade one of those guys to a team, and like whether that helps you upgrade your running back room, helps you get a pick where you can trade it later. Like I think there is a move to be made there that could help improve the running back room, and it probably starts with trading away one of those tight ends.
As someone who's tried to trade tight
Hot
ends,
take, he
though,
waited too long on
go for it, Levi.
hot take, he waited too long on Njoku. Harold Fannin is going to be the tight end one by the end of the season. Sorry, Shrew, you fucked up.
I've tried to trade tight ends in this league before, and my experience was that hanging on to them was better than the return that you could get league wide. So I understand kind of I mean, I guess I have Sam Laporta, so I don't really care to trade for a tight end. Corn, you have Kittle, don't you?
Hmm.
And Levi, you have who's your tight end right now?
Fucking whoever. Hunter Henry is the starter, but I now have Elijah Arroyo, Chig. I still have Chig on the bench, and Ferguson that the Rams took in the second round. I'm actually quite happy with my tight end room.
Yeah, so I feel like most people are pretty content with their tight end room, that it just doesn't make sense to sell a valuable asset to go upgrade your tight end. Other than Bowers, there's not. I would argue that Bowers is the only one who's worthwhile to trade a valuable asset for. And so I don't know if Shrew's willing to make that decision and ride it out with Crafter and Joku.
Hmm. Well, there's a spoiler warning. There is a team I was going to talk about needing a tight end here in the next couple of slides. So we'll see. I'm just trying to maybe inspire some people. Well, it probably not, but you just never know. Yeah, I just look at that tight end room and it, like maybe has three top 12 tight ends. And it just, tight end's not that important of a position to be hoarding them like that. And if you're not starting them and playing them, I feel like it's just kind of a waste of some value on your roster, but we'll see. Yeah, like I said, I think the TLDR is true is like if this running back room improves at all, it's going to look a lot better. But those are all kind of like RB2, RB3 types, not like stud running backs. Yeah, that's what prevented me from moving Shrew up higher. Okay, up next is what we have. We had tie for third. We have Stun. So Stun, the first 2 years in the league, finished 11th both seasons. And then going into last season, he made a ton of offseason trades to try and make more of a win now push. Pretty similar to Levi. They were both at the dweller of the league first couple of years, and then just decided like, fuck, I need to start winning. This just can't keep losing like this. Stunn's big offseason move was he traded for James Cook, traded the 108 and Tink Bigsby for him, and then also acquired Javonte Williams in a smaller deal with Levi recently. And then the only draft pick he made was Taj Brooks at the 411. Well, might be RB2 in Cincinnati, maybe. Um, yeah, what do you guys think of Stunn's offseason?
Made all the right moves. Made all the right moves. Didn't need to. He has a bunch of players in their prime. He's competing. There's not much to say about Stunn's team other than maybe he's a little light at running back, but adding James Cook was awesome. The wide receiver room is awesome. I'm much bigger on Trevor Lawrence than consensus. I don't even love Kyle Pitts as a starting tight end, but he's got fine backups and likely. And who's he?
Strange.
Brent.
I even like Strange. Yeah. Jordan Mason got a boost as far as I'm concerned this offseason. And Spencer Rattler is going to be the starting quarterback for New Orleans week one. He's fine. Stun looks really good right now.
Yeah, I like the addition of James Cook. That adds a highly valuable RB2 to this roster and really didn't give up a ton for James Cook, I think. Um, for Stun, this was an off season of just kind of staying the course. He has a really good young core of receivers here. The quarterback room is just fine. You know, the Chargers love Herbert. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to turn it around with a decent offensive minded head coach here. This is a team that could cause some havoc here in the GDFL this year, I think. Score a lot of points.
Yeah, we all had him ranked third. Like I think we all were in agreement that this team's good. Like yeah, like you said, Herbert and T-Law, it's good enough. Is it the best room in the league? No, it's not the worst either. Like both of them have that fringe QB1 upside. Herbert was QB2 early in his career. I think Trevor Lawrence has a QB7 season on his resume. Like they have ceilings. It's just whether they both hit him at the same time is kind of the question. Saquon was really good last year, obviously. James Cook's good. Receiver Brian Thomas was a smash. JSN's really good. He has DJ Moore, George Pickens, Jalen Waddle, and Kyle Pitts at tight end. But even as bench, like Calvin Ridley and Jerry Jeudy are great options to have on the bench in a pinch. I think that was what Strun's biggest issue was last year, though, was like with how many receivers he has here that are startable. He had a really hard time choosing which ones to put in a starting lineup on a weekly basis and had a pretty poor lineup efficiency. I mean, I think I saw some crazy tweet that Darnell Mooney was like eighth in receiving yards like through the first like 13 weeks of last season. So like even like I mean like looking at it now, like I think Mooney's his eighth receiver, but like Mooney was still pretty damn good last year. So I think there's a lot to like with Stun's team, and like you said, a really good young roster too. It's like Saquon's really like the only player here that's over older than like 26.
DJ Moore, I think is 28 or
Oh yeah,
29.
DJ Moore, yeah, I think he's 28. That's right.
But DJ Moore is a top five piece on this roster. So I like where he sits. I think, you kind of said that this is a good enough quarterback room. I think this is a really good quarterback room. There's maybe two, three, four other quarterback rooms I'd take maybe over Stuns, but this is a good quarterback room.
Yeah, I just like I guess when I say good enough, like I don't think either of them are top eight, maybe even 10. Like I think they're both in like that 10 to 16 range. So like
Yeah,
it's above like above average. Like I guess they're like slightly above average is kind of where I'd have to like actually look at every team individually, but that's kind of how I view it. But yeah, this was one of the teams where I was talking about with Shrew, maybe trading a tight end to someone. I mean, I think Njoku and Kraft would be an upgrade over Pitts. How much of an upgrade? I don't know, but I mean, it was just an idea I was having when I was going through and making all these slides. Okay, up next, the team we have tied for third is Beans. So the big thing Beans did this offseason was trade away the 105 and Josh Downs for T. Higgins. He drafted Cam Ward, Colston Loveland, Jack Bash, and Jaden Blue. Year one, his team was really good, went 8-6. He kind of flamed out in the playoffs, though. I can't really remember why, if it was injuries or just a bad week. Spent the last 2 years rebuilding a little bit as he went all in year one. But we all had Beans pretty high. Beans was actually the number one team for one of us. It wasn't me.
It was
not
me.
me.
It was me. This is my hot take of the offseason. I think Beans will win a title this year. I think
His quarterback room is very solidified, even if he moves one of them, that one not being Lamar Jackson. I'm not a Chase Brown guy, but he's clearly the guy they're going to go to in Cincinnati this season. Bijan, there's no argument that Bijan's a top two running back, at least top three. The wide receiver room, T. Higgins was an awesome ad, especially for what he paid to get him. Um, Even I thought that was a 50-50 trade in terms of 50-50s go. Terry's going to be good. Cortland got an awesome contract. Uh, I'm not a Jack Besh guy. I will say that. Rashid's fine. Wicks is a good keep. I think Jaden Blue was a really good ad for him. But above all else, adding Colston Loveland to your tight end room when you already have Cole Kmet was like an 11 out of 10 move by Beans this offseason. I've got my chips pushed in on Beans. And I will say I've been very critical of him in this league in the past 2 years. He did everything right this offseason.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to criticize him a little bit was he took Cam Ward, who he thinks the best player available, which is perfectly fine. Like I'm a big believer in you always take whoever you think the best player available is. And then immediately after taking him in the group chat said, I'm willing to trade a quarterback. I'm looking for a receiver. It's just like you could have just taken a receiver there. Like Travis Hunter was there. I mean, I get like there is some concern with him, but it was just like I don't know. Just I saw him say that and it was just like you have to trade one of them now then for a receiver if that's what what your goal is. Yeah, the reason why I had Beans at four, I just like he has a lot of studs. Like there's a lot of studs on this roster. And Fields is a great fantasy quarterback. Lamar's been killer. Bijan, Chase Brown, T. Higgins, Leo McLaurin, all high scorers. It's just like the bottom end of his, like Nick Chubb is currently projecting to be a starter for him. I'm not so sure he's going to be that good with the Texans. Like I thought he was pretty washed last year. I'm not sure how good he's going to be. And then Rashid Shaheed as your fourth receiver is fine. But like to be like a bona fide contender, I would aim to upgrade that last running back and wide receiver spot. And you can definitely trade a quarterback to do it. He could trade picks to do it. Like I really do like Beans' team. He's just missing a little bit for me to rank it any higher.
Yeah, I agree. I think the bottom end of the starting group leaves something to be desired. I agree with the thought process. If Beans thinks that Cam Ward is the best player available at 104, go take him. Um, I especially think so because I have question marks with Justin Fields and JJ McCarthy. So if you're high on Cam Ward, take him, and then maybe JJ McCarthy or Justin Fields you're able to sell high on. Um, there's probably going to be a contender who's looking for a quarterback this year. So, I like the long term view, especially if you're not in on Travis Hunter. Um, yeah, I think the back end of the starters leaves something to be desired, though. I'd be concerned about contending if Rashid Shaheed or Nick Chubb are my back end starters.
Mhm. Yeah, so we have about 3.5 minutes left, so this is probably going to take a part three, but that's all right. We're having fun here. So our consensus two was Mark. I had Mark at number one. I can't remember. I think Levi had him at four, and you had him at two, Ryan. I think is
I
how.
had him at two.
Yeah. So year one, Mark went 5-9, wasn't that great of a team. Year two, his team was one that was a late riser. And then that was like enough of a late riser that encouraged me to put him as number one in the preseason power ranks last year. And that's kind of like how I view where Beans' team was at the end of last year. Like Beans' team was ascending at the end of last year, and I think is going to parlay that into a good year this year. I think Mark has the best team in the league, like top to bottom. Just like there really isn't much of a weakness on it. So the big things he did this offseason was add Jacoby Myers and Tank Bigsby in trades, and then trade away Javonte Williams and Jalen Coker to get those two. And then he went dumpster diving at the bottom of the rookie draft to get Harold Fannin, Kyle Monangai, and Woody Marks, who Monangai and Marks could be playing roles for both the Bears and Texans offense this year.
Yeah, I think before we go look at his roster, we should probably get on another call because one of us will get cut off.
I do
Um,
have to pee pretty bad.
cool. Let's reconvene here in a couple minutes.
Okay, so this is the end of part two. We'll have part three coming here shortly. All right, thank you all.
Go Cows.